Okay. Hi, my name is Jonathan Lewis, and I'm a student at Whitman Hanson Regional High School. As part of Whitman's 150th anniversary celebration, we are speaking with longtime Whitman residents. Today, we have Robert Emmet Hayes. Hi. First question is, where did your family live when you were born?
I grew up on Alden Street, 119 Alden Street. Right, if you come down Jenkins Ave, you'd run right into 119 Alden Street. I say that because when I was a kid growing up and it snowed, we used to sled down Jenkins Ave. They don't let you do that anymore, but that's what we did back then. So, and the neighborhood's still the same. It hasn't changed much. In fact, my sister still lives up the street on Alden Street, so we're still there.
So you have a lot of memories from the street?
I do.
That's good. Is that neighborhood the same today as it was when you were a child?
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much the same. I will say that they've done something different. The neighbors down there on Halloween, they close down the street and they make that whole street into a special event. And so on Halloween, if you drive down Washington Street and you look to the left, you can't go left because they've got it all blocked off because they do such a great job on Halloween. So it's a great neighborhood.
Is the whole street participating in this event?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's quite a fun.
Yeah.
So,
what generation are you as a Whitman resident?
Fourth generation. Fourth generation. We've been around for quite a while. My dad was, my grandfather was a police officer. My dad was a selectman. So I sort of followed him into politics.
So you worked around the town and stuff, managed?
Yes.
Okay. Remembering your school days, what comes to mind as an important event for the children of Whitman during that time?
So I walked to the Park Ave school when I was a youngster, and used to play a lot in the town park. Spent a lot of time at the pool in the summertime, and it was the place to hang around and have fun.
Yeah.
So, sports I was always involved in sports. Primarily football was my favorite sport, but I also played some basketball and some baseball as well.
What position did you play in football?
Most importantly, I was the co-captain of my football team my senior year. I was a defensive tight end. I was about 135 pounds, and my coach at the time, you probably interviewed his wife, Kathy Tian. So my coach at the time was Bob Tian, and he was great. But when the team selected me, he grabbed me and he said, "It's the last time I'm going to let the players decide, because 135-pound lineman's not going to be a very big co-captain." But at any rate, we went on to become great friends, and I ended up being not only a friend of his, but I helped run his campaign when I get back from the Navy, and he decided he wanted to run for office, and I said, okay. And so I organized pretty much all of our former football players, and we all got together and ran a campaign, and lo and behold, we won. And he served in the State House.
Nice.
A couple of terms. So he did a nice job. He was a great friend, and I lived in his house as well. 697 Washington Street is kind of special because before Bob Tian was there, Ned Kirby owned it. So he was the state representative at the time. So Ned sold it. Bob Kean moved in, and he lived there. He ran for office from that house, got elected, and then later, when I moved into the house, I ran for state rep as well from the same location. So the joke is that's the House of Representatives in Whitman. So.
Wow. A lot of interesting memories from that house, I imagine. Okay, next question is, which school did you attend?
Park Ave.
Park Ave.
The Park Ave school. Walked there, walked home, later, I went to the Holt as well before going up to Whitman Hanson. So.
Where's Park Ave?
Park Ave is closed down now. It's been closed down for quite a while. They don't really know what they're going to do with it. It's surplus property, but it's if you go down Park Ave, you go past the fields, the playing fields, and as you make the turn, Park Ave is right there.
Okay. What did you do in your free time? What modern items do you remember being introduced during your lifetime?
As I said, most of the time I was playing sports. Basketball, football, you name it. We had a lot of friends who played, and that was my main passion, football. So.
Okay. Did you spend the majority of your time outside, and then you're playing football? You're playing, okay.
Yeah, but we also spent a lot of time in the town park. Spent a lot of time at the town in the summertime at the pool. I mean, we didn't have a pool back then in my backyard. I have one now in my new house, but not then. So we all spent a lot of time at the pool. I was actually sort of a lifeguard part-time for a period of time.
What about your what modern items do you remember being introduced in your lifetime? That was another question.
Well, obviously,
the telephone.
Obviously, the cell phone and computers. I actually, when I got out of the service, I spent some time working for a company selling digital computers, the Deckmates. And at the time, those computers were about that high, okay? Oh. They were big. And this has more power
than those
had. It changed rapidly, but I sold Deckmates, as they were called, digital, before digital was bought up by, finally I think they were bought by Hewlett-Packard, but Compaq took them over first, and then they transferred off to Hewlett-Packard.
I guess there's next question would be, what Whitman historical event, person, or personal experience is your favorite since living in Whitman?
Well, I have always enjoyed being part of Whitman. My time working with and running the campaign for Bob Kean was probably the most important event that I did. It allowed me to, number one, get really involved in politics. I should back up. My dad was a selectman, so it's not as if I didn't grow up with campaigns, in the house. I knew it, but when I came back from the service and got involved with Bob Kean's campaign and got to, bring together all our old classmates, it was really an important event for me because I got to meet some people like Dennis Losey, who went on to play professional football, and Stephen, I'll forget his last name. He also played for the NFL as well. So Bob Kean was a phenomenal coach, and he inspired a lot of people, and I was one of them.
And he was the person you helped bring the campaign, or was that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But there is somebody I should mention, because she is very important. Yeah. But my wife was the first constitutional office holder to be in Whitman. She was elected state treasurer from Whitman, and she's still here now, not a treasurer, but I have to give credit to Shannon for all the work that she did on my behalf and on behalf of the people as state treasurer.
She worked for the state, so with the money, all in the finances coming in?
She did, yeah.
She did, okay.
Yep.
Okay, the next question would be, what building and/or business do you miss the most from Whitman, and why?
Well, probably, I miss McCarthy's ice cream, okay? My dad worked there, and in the summertime when I was a young lad, I'd drive with him in the truck, and I had a little part-time job, made some money. But McCarthy's Brothers Ice Cream was very important back then. We miss it, I'm sorry. But also, it was a favorite place we used to go with friends, Condon's Pub. And I worked for a period of time when I got out of the service as a bartender at the Whitman VFW. And at the time, the Condon family was producing pizzas out of that little kitchen there. And they were so popular, they said, ooh, and they expanded and they opened up their spot on Bedford Street and ran a very successful business. And I've been close to the Condons. They've been great friends ever since.
Where are these two locations, like relative? Like, where are these like two locations today? Like, what are they close to?
Condons, the old Condons is right on Route 18. It's vacant now, unfortunately. It hasn't been used for a while. It's at the intersection of 18 and 14. Oh.
Who was the most impressive Whitman resident you knew, and why?
Well, I've already mentioned Bob Tian because of all the great things that he did and how he inspired me to run for office. But also Joe McCarthy. Joe McCarthy was a dear friend. We served together on the Board of Selectmen. He went on to become a county commissioner, became town manager for Whitman for a period of time, and then he went on to be at EDIC for the town of Whitman when we were given an opportunity to take over the Bostonian Shoe building when I was a selectman. They came to us and said, we're going to close this building down unless you'd like to take it, and we'll give it to you for $1. And we said, so I went to the town meeting and said, we need to take this building. And they said, okay, yeah, and they did. And fortunately, the building is still there. It opened up a number of small little companies in there, created quite a few jobs, and most importantly, I think it's now housing mostly, but it's still there, which is important.
How old were you when you became a selectman at Whitman?
How old was I? I was probably 28 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I should go ahead. You ask more questions because I'll get to it eventually.
Oh,
but
was this like after your years in the Navy, or?
Yeah, after my years in the Navy. My two older brothers went in the Navy. I followed them because they had gone through a rigorous background check. I came into the Navy with a top secret clearance. So I was able to, because of that clearance, I was able to go to high-tech schools. They sent me off to electronics school. So I learned electronics and communications. Then they sent me off to a top secret class as well. So the gear that I was in charge of on board ship, if you were on the ship, you'd have an access code to get into the top secret space. And my name was right below the captain, pretty much. And I was a young kid. I wasn't an officer yet. I later became an officer, but I wasn't then. So I was in charge of the communications equipment. They trained me in that. I tell the story about being out at sea one time, and the equipment broke down. And I had to go to the top of the mast to fix it, which I did. I was up at the top of the mast, and it was this way and this way. And I was in the process of fixing the power supply that had failed. And I heard this screaming, and I looked down, and the captain was down below me saying, "Get down here, get down." And I'm like, okay. And then I looked off towards, if you were at the wall right there, there was a black cloud. And I mean, it was just a black solid cloud coming at us. And within 10 minutes, we were in 35-foot seas.
35.
The destroyer, the Theodore E. Chandler, a DD-717, I remember it well. The ship would go into the wave. They had to bring the ship around and face the waves, because if they went sideways, it would have rolled the ship over. Jeez. So we had to go right into the wave. It would go underwater, come back up and out, and we survived. We got through
Wow.
it. So, yeah.
How far out in sea was this? Like, where did this?
We were, at the time, we were off the coast of California. We were providing support for aircraft carriers because they needed to have at least 2 destroyers beside them at all times to make sure that there weren't any submarines or anything else coming around and impacting us. When I got assigned to the ship, it was in Vietnam because I was there during the Vietnam War. And it was off the coast of Vietnam. And they were going up and down the coast, and they were firing into the jungles. I got assigned to it, but they said, number one, it's been along the gun line for quite a while, and we're not going to take the time to helicopter you over to the coast and then airlift you onto the boat. So I waited till I got back to Long Beach, California, which we were stationed, and it immediately went into the dry dock because it had taken such a toll on the ship that they had to go in and pretty much repair it all.
So you're a Vietnam War veteran?
I am.
I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We move on to, we got a bit off topic, but let's get back.
That's all right.
If you could have any wish, what would you bring to Whitman now? What would it be and why?
Well, I probably would want an Apple store in the center of town, okay? Because I'm always looking to upgrade my phone, and my laptop is always needing to be upgraded, and driving to the Apple store is not something I enjoy doing, including the long wait. So if we could get an Apple store someplace downtown, I would be very happy.
Okay. Could you talk about your family's involvement in political service to the town?
I mentioned it a little bit, but my dad was a selectman for many, many years in Whitman, and he's the one that got me involved, really, from the earliest days. He, back then, he was a Democrat, and back then it was all Republican in the South Shore. So the state party asked my dad to run for various offices because they wanted to put a Democrat on the ballot just to see if they could motivate more people to register as Democrats. So I grew up, unfortunately, remembering we lost, but he ran for state representative several times. He actually ran for governor's council one time, and I'm like, what is governor's council? What the heck is that? So, yeah, I grew up with, a lot of election going on in my household.
They're being pretty chaotic sometimes.
Very chaotic, yes.
Tell us about your time in the House of Representatives.
So I decided to run when the seat opened up. I had been a selectman for a number of years, and they had reconfigured. It used to be 240 members in the House of Representatives. The voters decided to cut that back to 160. So they took the districts and they made them bigger. When Bob Tian was elected, he represented Whitman and East Bridgewater. The new district included Whitman, Abington, and Holbrook. And the election, the next election, Bob decided not to run, but the person who did run and won was Andy Card. And Andy, he was a Republican back then, but he's very popular. He worked very, very hard to get elected, and he did a good job. So Andy eventually decided to run for statewide office. So it opened up that seat, and I said, I'm going to take a shot at it. I was lucky because Holbrook, I had a candidate in Holbrook, Walter Cartwright. The Cartwright family is still over there. They have funeral homes over there. Very popular family in Holbrook. Abington, I had 2 candidates, Kevin Donovan and Jack Buckley, 2 very popular people in Abington. And then I had Whitman. So I was able to gain a few votes in Holbrook. I got a couple of votes in Abington, but I was able to maximize my Whitman vote because I had run for selectman so many times that I won that election against 3 good competitors. So then I had to run against the Republican, a woman by the name of Penny Reed, who had never run before. So Penny was the Republican. She ran around handing out little pennies and little stickers, and it was a gimmick, but it did not work. I had knocked on every door several times. I worked hard. I made sure people knew who I was. I was not shy about saying, I'm here to ask for your vote and your consideration, and that's what you have to do if you're going to run for office, and that's what I did.
Definitely, yeah. And then I guess the question here is there anything else we left out today that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I do. I want to talk about when I was growing up on Alden Street, there were 11 of us in the house. 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. My parents had the biggest room. My 3 sisters had the next biggest room. And then the boys had the small bedroom. And in our bedroom, you walked in and there was bunk beds on the right, there was a double bed against the wall, and then there were cribs. And you didn't have any place to play. You had to get into something, either the crib or the bunk bed or something else. So that's what I was facing. And again, as I told you, 1 bathroom, 3 older sisters. I would come down in the morning, and they'd be doing their hair and getting ready to go off to school, and I'd be outside going, "Oh, you have to go today." So, but as you can imagine, with that many people, my backyard was always a sinkhole. It was always, the septic system could not handle it. It was always wet behind my house. And I realized soon that I was not alone. All the other people in Whitman were facing the same thing. Whitman had a high groundwater table. We had very poor soils, and it was really desperately needed town sewage. So I made that as my important effort. I learned more about sewage, the rules and regulations on what it took to get it. Turns out that Whitman had realized they needed sewage before I got there, and they'd taken a loan from HUD back years before and to investigate and build a sewer system. Well, they tried to work with East Bridgewater and Abington and this one and that one, but they could never get approval from the federal people. And so we could not get the plans approved. And next thing we know, they sued us for not following through on our septic plans. So I had to go and testify on behalf of the town of Whitman in front of the federal court and say, look, we're happy to do it if you would allow us to do it, but we can't do it unless you approve it. So they dismissed that case. But at the time, we were fortunate because Brockton had just received a grant, $55 million, to build a brand new tertiary treatment plant in Brockton. And I used my influence at the State House and my connections with the people who we had been working with on trying to get Whitman sewage, and we negotiated. I negotiated with Brockton 1 million gallons of use in that 55 million gallon plant, and so that's how we brought sewage to Whitman. I don't know where we'd be right now without it. The cost was very was very concerning to many people. One of the things that we did strategically, which I had a role in, was I made sure that there was a time when they were going to just sewer the downtown area, or this area, or that area. And I made a pledge, and our engineers pledged that they were going to build sewage throughout the entire town. So people would get sewage eventually if they voted for it, and they did. Now, the other thing that was happening was the federal program was changing. Earlier, you could get 90% coverage for this type of work. 75% of the dollars came from the federal government, 15% came from the state, 10% was ours. So that program was phasing out, and we were fortunate to get 90% coverage on the main parts of our treatment plant, our pipe over to Brockton, so we saved an enormous amount of money. So that was, my focus. It also led, because I worked so hard, when I got to the State House, I knew more about those laws than anyone else. And the city of, the federal government was suing Boston because of the harbor was so contaminated. And so there were proposals to try to meet with the judge. I ended up debating the creation of the Mass Water Resources Authority. I was part of that effort to create that brand new authority. And we got that approved. But I also, I also looked at the people like Whitman who were trying to get sewer systems built, but weren't approved. There were about 175 communities that hadn't been given the green light to go forward with it. I went to every one of those legislators and I said, I need your help. And I need you to sign on to a bill. And they did. And in 1989, they created what they called the Hayes Bill. It was known as the Hayes Bill back then. And it created a 0% revolving loan fund so that people could get the money they needed to build their facilities. That law is still in place today, and they are still giving out money. The last round was over $300 million. 97% of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has benefited from that SRF. So, very proud that I had a very important role in that. And, also I was given awards. I got awards from the federal government. I got awards from state. I got an award from. I got a bunch of awards for doing that. So, I'm really proud of it. It's still in place now, and it's still providing help. So, it's good.
Those sound all great. I thank you.
Huh?
We have sewer here because of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Robert Emmet Hayes, for being here, and thank you for watching. I think that concludes our interview.
Thank you.